Welcome back. Quite a song to start. I love it when we set the tone on such heights. But welcome indeed. With that same energy, let's connect to something that quite a number of people have called. I don't know whether it is formalized or whether it's a latent idea that, there's something about gig economy. I don't know where that term came from, whether it was coined by just people who studied it, whether it is known to people, or is it one that has to do with maybe you have some main job and then you have part-time? Is that gig, or maybe just these jobs that do not have contractual agreements where people are paid low wages and all of that? Is that the gig economy? Let's understand and see how the young people of Africa can explore these so that they are not exploited. And so that's why we've invited Mr. Yaw Afful to join us and to have this conversation with us from APN. And he's been doing quite a number of things. I mean, very good at trade and investment. And so this is the man to go to. He's synonymous to trade and investment. It's good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers.
Absolutely. Well, gig economy, again, I was reading about it. I don't know whether it's alien to us or we are doing it and we don't know that we are part of the gig economy. If you can explain to us what this and where it's from, really, I'll be excited.
Basically, after COVID, it took a very big shape.
Okay. So it was there before COVID?
Before COVID, it wasn't, I didn't have traction like this.
Okay.
First of all, you need to explain what economy is. Basically, economy, if you look at how it was perceived under the Greeks, ancient Greeks, it had to do with household, managing household.
That's economy.
That's economy, household. So if you say gig economy, you are talking about a certain contractual, a certain non-permanent, a certain spontaneous, a certain demand-based, but for short-term kind of job offer services. That is gig economy.
Okay.
It is coming from the word where you have to do, where you are invited to do a certain, like an MC, like an MC or a DJ. You are invited on those short-term notices to go and perform something. Jig, So that is where the root word came. But so if you say gig economy, then you're now looking at that kind of on-demand offers, on-demand contracts, on-demand or on a short-term basis kind of opportunities. That is how it looks like. And I said post-COVID because during COVID and post-COVID, it gained traction because we were locked down. And so it took more shape after more of the digital, more of the technology kind of industries where you could do things. Maybe I could call for maybe a mobile therapist to even come home. Uber is an example of even a gig economy, because these days you can have drivers who are on call, on standby call. You call someone, okay, I want your services for. It's actually also seen in most part of the U.S. diaspora.
Okay.
Some years ago, decades ago, I used to remember when I had a sister who was there, and she told me that, look, they are surprised when they come to Africa and they see that we are working from 8 hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And
I was just talking about that earlier.
They are surprised, and we work from every month. No, they didn't look at that. They practice a kind of gig economy where sometimes they go for a job for a duration of maybe 6 months, and they are paid. He goes to use the money for whatever reasons he went for, and then that's it. He sits at home, go look for another job for 4 months. That kind of short-term, contractual, that is how gig behaves. But it's not a permanent job.
Okay.
It's a short term. But the difference is that the other part we have to look at is that it's mostly on, it takes the part of technology, digital, online, online, those are very, very on-demand kind of opportunities.
Okay.
Not the kind of ones you go and write letters for appointment, seeking no.
Okay.
For you, if for example, it also even includes journalism. Journalism. So if, for example, I said, okay, Mr. Lumo, I want you to come and MC my program, so and so month, or you're going to do this for a period of 3 months. It's a contract work we're giving you, and you're going to be paid for it.
I see.
It's a jig kind of work, because even though you are providing the same expertise and services like your other colleague who might have been employed permanently, yours is just on that short-term contractual basis, and there are disadvantages anyway.
Anyways, we'll get into that. So while Mr. Afful is calling us gig, I'm doing gig. So it's just GIG. So it's just gig. So we call it gig. I get gig. I mean, I don't know how you call it in Nigeria. If you're watching me, how do you call that kind of work in your country? You could head to our YouTube, My Dominion TV. I'm not sure it's Shabu Shabu. I'm not sure. Shabu Shabu has to do much more with instruments, playing instruments, going to whatever. But I don't know. Maybe Shabu Shabu to, I go to Shabu Shabu camp. I go to Shabu Shabu camp. So let me know how you call it in your country. You have also stated that it's got disadvantages. Where we are as a country, there's the talk about 24-hour economy. And inherent in there, is changing the structure of work entirely, where you are going to have to do something maybe towards hourly jobs, where you do, if you are doing 7 hours, you are paid 7 hours at the end of the month, and it's based on productivity. Do you think that Africa, for that matter, Ghana, such an economy must encourage this? And in what shape must it come from? Looking at the experiences across the Western world, and of course, comparing that to here in Africa, and for that matter, Ghana.
One important thing that we have to understand is that a gig economy will thrive upon the dominant structure of your economy.
Okay.
Number one. And so, if you take Silicon Valley, if you take the US Silicon Valley and Japan, by the way, those places, technology and advanced industrialization or revolution drive the economy. So it means, therefore, that it will thrive easily, because that is the structure of the economy. It is also possible, you mentioned the 24-hour economy, and I think, yes, with the 24-hour economy, I have not seen their structure, but with the 24-hour economy and with what we are discussing, a gig economy can thrive in a 24-hour economy, no matter the concept they are bringing. Because the concept they are bringing is that there will be extension of hours and a rotational work.
Yeah, shifts.
And then, by the way, even as I was saying, around the year 2090s, I engaged in that. I was first year on campus, and I was working in one of the companies. I went in the night.
Oh.
Yes. I was in the night. I was a quality assurance officer. So I go for lectures, I go for night, I'll be tired. I reached a point when the general manager said,
no,
young man.
No.
Because I have to close down and rush for early rush hour lectures at 7:30 a.m. And I was doing perfectly well. I don't sleep during the night hours. And I was paid for my work, you know what I'm saying? So that structure, a structure of the economy is very important. And in here, if we build our agribusiness and agriculture industry, it will thrive. Why? Because agriculture still, it's about the dominant contribution to GDP. Make no mistake. Then you look at certain areas of services. Then you look at tourism. So tourism, for example, as I was saying, if you go to Dakar, and maybe you are working at Goree Island, where you want to go and do the slave town, the boats that go, you can secure a short-term work over a period of time. So the boats can work over 24 hours. So you look at the structure of your economy. If here agribusiness is what is dominant, which areas can we open up? So much. I use the example of what I did during the first year.
Yes.
Because that was a manufacturing. So your manufacturing also must thrive. So when agribusiness or agriculture is really dominating, then you do the linkages between manufacturing, industrialization. So your agribusiness is wide and big. I always say that agribusiness is a whole economy on its own. So if it's agribusiness, you're looking at value addition, you're looking at the chains, you're looking at the various, if you are taking commodity, commodity by commodity. If you take the cocoa value chain, if we are doing manufacturing to industrialization, if we are setting factories, even if we are not setting factories, what are the distributive channels? So that is the first point I made, which is very critical. Your structure of your main economy must drive the gig economy vis-a-vis your 24-hour economy. I heard the Foreign Affairs Minister hinting that very soon the 24-hour economy is going to. It's possible.
Yes.
So that
I think they've started even setting up offices to that effect. So the idea is that they are going to work on shifts because there's demand for passports and all of that.
Apart from that, you recall during the A-level times.
I don't recall.
Okay. During the A-level, the last batch, A-level, O-level, those times. When you finish A-level, during the A and O-level, when you finish A-level, sometimes you go and get job. There was that thing, that system. You used to have jobs. You go and work for some time until you are called to the varsity.
Okay.
Even after O-level, you get some jobs. I remember when I finished O-level, I was at the ministries looking for a job. I went to the civil service to look for a job.
Forgive me, I have to quickly get into this. What was the idea behind the OA level thingy? Because I know then it keeps you longer in school. But what was the idea really? And because I've heard people also thinking that we could bring that back. Quickly, touch base on that before we go on to the gig economy.
Anyway, by the way, I've been in we work as a development partner to the Ministry of Education.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one firm that in Dubai that I represent. And we are part of the 10-year Ghana educational reforms. It will be currently people are doing it privately.
What was it?
The rationale, the O-level, you go 5 years.
Okay.
Now the system will say that you go first 3 years under the O-level. Then when you reach Form 3, we call it Form 3, you make your choices of subjects you want to really do. So for example, in Form 1, you do all subjects.
Was this JHS or
no.
university?
It was secondary.
Okay, secondary.
It was high school.
Okay, so high school you do just say Form 1 to Form 3.
Form 5.
Okay, so Form 5.
Yes, I'm giving you how it was structured.
So Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 5.
Form 5, Form 1 to 5.
Okay.
But I'm saying that the first 3 years, most of the time, it's like testing the waters. They want to see where your strengths are. So they'll bundle all of you to we don't call it art class or science class. They bundle all of you into general arts, sciences, or whatever. You don't do pure science. By the time you reach Form 3, then you know they figure out. They know you yourself. You know whether you are going to do full science, full arts, full business, because your subject performance will tell, and so you'll be cancelled. So if sometimes you see science students leaving their science to the arts. That's what I'm saying. I love science, but I was very strong in some of the areas. I said, look, I'll be wasting my time. I moved to arts and business. My colleague, my very good friend was Kojo Frimpong. We switched to art class. Another colleague is also in the US, he's a professor of economics. We were doing science. So those who continue, you finish O-level and then stay home. We stay home for the results to come, then you move to sixth form. Sixth form is considered a kind of a preparatory stage for university. So sixth form, you do some of the courses, pre-university courses. That's what we call it a red paper. In other words, let's assume that you do first year subjects or in the university at A-level. Because that is tough. And so at the end of the day, you realize that after O-level, you do 2 years. That is lower 6 and upper 6. Immediately after upper 6, you do service. So yes, you do national service.
Before you go to the university?
Before you go to the university, only if you do another service.
I think let's return to that. We'll have that conversation. These boys and girls have to return to after free SHS. And things they are doing.
And one important thing is that, by the time you finish A-level,
you are good.
Yeah, I'm using my system.
Yeah.
You know what you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Where is the next education reform happening? I'm going there right now.
You remember University of Ghana in those days when you are going with SS.
Right.
That was in those days.
Okay.
you go to level 100. When you're coming with A level, you go straight to level 200.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to the education reform right now. I'll go and talk to them about returning to A and O levels so that these kids can be prepared well. Because what we are seeing, you and I know. Let's return to the gig economy. The case of technology, what it means is that there must be a base. There must be, well, no matter how it is, because it's mostly remote. What I see, if it has to be technology, indeed, maybe injecting some form of technology into agribusiness or agricultural sector, it's probably technology that has to be used there, or maybe by way of that. Do we have the foundation? We've been talking about whether or not we have the structures to run a good gig economy in that regard.
A perfect system, if we know exactly the structure that's going to dominate in our economy, will be the free zones picture, enclave, industrial parks. Mm-hmm. If you go to Morocco, they have the job village.
Okay.
So the job village operates 24 hours.
Okay.
The job village is like a whole industrial park, like a free zone enclave. It's like a special economic zone, which I mentioned the last time. So the special economic zones, you have factories here, you have manufacturing, industrialization, everything is there. And then whether technology, whether it's agribusiness, it's operating.
24 hours.
It's operating, yes. So the idea is that if it's technology, which chain are you in technology? Mm-hmm. Is it payment systems? If it's payment systems, of course, then you can operate certain payment system where you 24 hours, somebody is there. Let's use this telecom, mm-hmm. Telecommunication. Yes. You have their, what do you call it?
Call center.
Call center. When you ask them, are you working at Vodafone? Excuse me, Vodafone MTA. They say, no, I'm just at their service center. That means they don't see themselves as full employees.
Yes.
So that is the concept. So they grant shifts because somebody, even though it's technology, somebody still have to be by those systems. Mm. You take that one out. You also take maybe the aviation. Aviation.
Yes, because people fly in and out day and night.
Aviation, yes. Aviation. You take most of the. Let's talk about the control. Mm-hmm. Have you asked yourself how most airplanes or most flights back get to their destination? Because from Ghana here, when you take off, immediately the control tower will take you to the next destination control tower. Mm-hmm. Then the other continues. So if you are taking off 10 p.m. here, it means there must be a badge that will work. It can be contractual basis. So I can say that you're working for 6 months at the aviation. So that 6 months, your schedule is 10 p.m., 10 p.m., 10 p.m. So that 10 p.m. you are working, my flight will take off, maybe my flight path will pass through Cotonou. Cotonou, there is another control tower there, maybe also working from from here to Cotonou maybe about 2 hours.
Yes.
So by 11 or 12, there is somebody there. Till you reach. That's why sometimes they say they miss their path. Mm. So just look at that embodiment. That's why I'm saying that if you really want to see the gig economy really working well, it looks at your structure. Now, if you take technology again, here, let's look at digital trade. Okay. Your mobile phone, your smart mobile phone is a perfect capital for you because you can use your status as a stock exchange. Mm. Yes. What do you do at stock exchange? We all know that it's physical trading of stocks. Yeah. But on your phone, you see people doing advertisement of products. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can see variety of products for about 30 or 50 of them. It's a call. So you order. You give your number, you order. It hits another platform, and then next morning you are receiving it.
That happens here in Ghana?
Oh, people do.
Oh, really?
People make orders. People, it works. It's perfect.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that's what
maybe I'm using what works around somewhere else here. I know. Okay, the orders.
Then look at the pharmaceutical industry. You remember the previous administration, Dr. Bamia was mentioning
the e-pharmacy thing.
E-pharmacy stuff. Beyond e-pharmacy, you can look at. I know doctors don't do prescription on phone, mm-hmm. but these days there have been so many open channels. AI. Yeah. People go and the diagnosis are exactly as it is. So look at here. I think pharmaceutical industry is really a big sector. Mm. Herbal technology is also a big sector. Look at your sectors and begin to grow it. There are a lot of possibilities. Beyond, I'm picking the most sectors.
Yes.
Another area that I also see very strong is the transport sector.
Okay.
The transport sector. If you want to travel around 11 p.m., maybe permanently, there are certain permanent government transport systems you won't get transport.
No.
But if you go to the private sector, you will see that every hour, there is a bus that's available to move. So what kind of concepts
can we build around
it? If you use the American example I gave you, maybe sometimes they say, we've got a lot of contracts. We really need more hands. We need more drivers quickly. We need more tour guides quickly. What do? There's sometimes we are here and I receive calls that can you get us a remote person to work from Ghana while the job destination is US for a period of 5 months. Just for a period of 5 months.
And the skill sets?
Yes. So you realize that, in fact, if we deepen that gig services, a lot of permanent jobs will be of no value necessarily.
Because after all, how much do I earn?
Yeah, and it will ease the stress. Because, for example, I can have a contract with maybe one of the banks for a period of just 6 months at home, working from home. After 6 months, my contract ends, I'm paid, I move to another job offer.
I see. One of the things we need to understand is that the phenomenon might be structured somewhere else. What we are trying to do is to maybe nationalize it. I mean, it has to get the structure of your nation. So, for instance, Ghana has to structure its gig economy, again, just as Mr. Afful said, around its economy. So your economy does not run like the United States of America. So we cannot directly import that. We need to structure it. I don't know whether you are getting it, but if you have any question as well on maybe you are in a certain industry and you need an advice on how to begin a some gigs around, and you want to call in or you have some ideas around it, you can call us and let's get onto that particular one. Let me go on and ask this. You know, the issue of policy and whether or not, we've spoken about 24. Are there countries that have already put some structures on it that you can give us examples of countries here in Africa that have that? You spoke about, and before I go there, I've only seen one industrial park. Is it Dawa or something?
Oh, that's an old one.
Oh, that's an old one.
It's building, but a lot in Shama. There are a lot. Anyway, let me pay a good tribute to the outgoing Chief Director of the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Okay.
He has been a very great instrumental in driving Ghana's trade policies.
Okay.
Yes, Dawa. You have Dawa. You have a lot in Shama. And I think the Dawa one, beyond that, there's another one in Chipoli or something.
Okay.
So they are more than just one.
I see.
They are just more than one.
So the industrial parks, this as he was describing, they work so more like free zone. So electricity tariffs are lower there. Every other charges that probably we would get here, they are lower there. I think that's the idea of the 24-hour economy, is to be able to get into the zones where it's cheap. And so if we have more of that, a lot more people can go on contract basis. Once it's done, you get out of it. Do they have houses in there? Accommodation facilities in there for the workers to sleep?
You don't need to have necessarily. You don't need to have. I mean, we are looking at, if you are looking at the 24-hour economy.
Yes. No, I'm talking about industrial parks.
Yeah, I'm giving you an example.
Okay.
The parks, the concept is maybe government to private sector initiative.
Okay.
So maybe the government will provide the offer of lands, or yes, for you to buy, And then certain, if you are operating special economic zones, I was telling you there's a big difference between those ones. The parks and those things, government owns everything.
Okay.
But the lands you sell, the private sector buys, you do everything, your erection and everything, whatever you want to do. That is there. I remember I called one park and they said it's almost finished, it's used, the spaces are already gone.
Okay.
That one is different. With the special economic zones, that is the one you mentioned, where you have all these economics of scale based upon the various kind of companies and industrial activities there. So because of the electricity is becoming cheap, because we have to depend on each other. Telecom is concentrated, power is concentrated, infrastructure is concentrated. That is a special economic zone. So it improves economies of scale. The same also with the free zones though, but the special economic zone has more even with related to taxes and other things. Now, the question you ask, sometimes you see some of these, like I'm saying, let me even use the one I was going as the quality control officer.
Yeah.
I was from Legon. So buses either were made available to drop us or what have you. But I like the Chinese concept. A Chinese person, if you give a road contract to a Chinese man, compared to a Ghanaian, the Ghanaian would like to come from the house, the Ghanaian contractor, he would like to come from the house to the sites. The Chinese man would like to build his house, his office on site. So if you are building an industrial park or if you are doing a 24-hour economy, maybe you want more works and stuff like that, you have to look at some of these facilities.
Temporary
infrastructure. Yeah. We always use our type of technology that makes it difficult. We always use blocks. You go to other countries like the US and they don't use blocks most of the time building for houses. You know, there's woods and all those things. So something movable. In fact, Australia, I think 2008, 2007, I hosted an Austrian technology real estate guy. They build on water. They build, and you know they can move houses. Yeah, you research around Austria. That technology was there. So one thing is that you are looking at the industrial park, not only that. If you're looking at what do you call it, a gig economy, it is not only about physical kind of work. No, it's about your expertise and skills being contracted. Okay, so it can be a mobile or immobile. But we are looking at it because we are looking at it like the kind of white collar, permanent kind of, no. If we do that, we can diversify. We need to diversify most of our economic structure. When we say economy, it's not we always look at macro. So no, an economy, as I said, is about management. So you can have even a full sector being an economy on its own. So ICT is a full economy on its own. Agribusiness is a full economy on its own. What others do you want to diversify? Say that when we diversify, it should not be the same old way you used to do things. I always used to say that the Adam Smith kind of economics is phased out for Africa. We need to look for a nativity development. A nativity development, you look at the structure of how your household setup is, how the opportunities of natural resources. And here natural resources play a role. Natural resources, what do we have? How can we diversify so that those ones can run such that you can be mobile or immobile and still use your expertise? If you call a doctor, your personal doctor, and he comes to the house and treats you, and you are well, will you say that you refuse treatment because you didn't go to the physical concept of hospital? That is where we are headed. That's where the world is heading towards.
So this is much more like policy. But in the absence of policy, is it not also the case that the universities, instead of going for the low-hanging fruits, look at these things and educate people on where the country or the economy is going in the next 5 years, for which you probably want to take advantage of these courses and programs that will help in this gig economy? I mean, the universities have to be innovative.
Even before you go to the university. In fact, one of the commissions that need to be strengthened is the National Development Planning Commission. I don't know, I'm not a lawyer,
No.
but I don't know the legislation establishing it, but I want to see it having more structured powers. When I say structured powers, they are custodians of our strategic plans. If it's 10 years, 5 years, 25 years, 10 years ambitious plan, and it's binding on any government.
This is the only opportunity we have. We missed the other one because Atta Mills passed a white paper to say that it does not have to be binding. So the only
should be binding.
The only opportunity is this.
In India, there is a setup where political parties, your manifesto, is legally binding. Say that if you don't fulfill your manifestos, you are sanctioned. Therefore, that should be translated into the National Development Planning Commission, said that they are custodians of the national strategic plans, irrespective of parties. So your party manifesto you bring will look at either being synchronized or embedded with the national plan. So therefore, the National Commission, if they are in full gear, will look at the trends, the global trends, the continental trends, and then the national trends. Population keeps increasing. Look at where the concentration of population is. What do we do? If you look at Libya, you don't have too much concentration there because they have made it said that almost all those rural economies are developed. For example, if you take Techiman, if it's one of our basket zones, what do we do? If you look at the mining areas, if it's our mining areas, gold is the commodity, what do we do? If you look at maybe Accra, and we look at this real estate and the Silicon Valley type, what do we do? If you look at areas where it's tourism, ecotourism, where you have the sea, the beaches, and what can we do? What kind of diversity? Equatorial Guinea did, the last time I said it, what we call the 5Ds. They call it the 5D because they want to diversify the economy. It's because it's a permanently oil and gas. So they are diversifying it, and in diversifying, it's going to reshape their supply chain. Because now, instead of they sending oil and gas to Spain and those, they want to reroute it to Africa. Now, instead of always saving outside money, instead of saving in U.S. banks and this, they are rather establish Equatorial Guinea banks and position in most West African countries.
So they can route their...
Like the way you see in some of the Moroccan banks and the whole thing. So 5Ds and technology, ICT is key. Tourism is key, agribusiness or agriculture is key, and then I think there are few infrastructure and other things. So that when you look at these ones, a body like National Development Planning Commission will then alert and align courses with the institutions. If it's government institutions, government universities, I always use Aseshi. You hardly will see somebody graduating from Aseshi with that job. Why? Because they make sure that right from level 100 or whatever they call it, by the time you finish, most students are now app developers.
Yes.
They are now program developers.
They've even had quite a number of internships at top places as provided also by the universities.
For example, if Ghana, we realize that there are a lot of artisans, craftsmen, artisans, who have so much skill they can build with their hand. But they might not have had a certain formal education.
Yes.
If we are diversifying to even look at having a gig economy around it, what do we do? For example, if you go to Zimbabwe, you know that story, Zimbabwe. A gentleman has even beaten Elon Musk. He doesn't use, doesn't even use electrical charge. He doesn't need electrical charge. The president was there to see the car. He has invented all from scratch. Said people, if we want to offer, what can we do? Okay, so maybe we can say that, okay, look at the Abosoka concept, the way they are there concentrated. What can we do for them? I was even thinking, if you look at them, there should be a linkage between the Safu Kantanka, the magazine, and then the Abosokans, and then car mechanics. Link it. So you can even have a student who is in tech doing not service there, but also offering his services and still being paid. Because after if you are doing a PhD, some people work and still be doing their courses. So we need to really, that's the second major point I've told you, to look at diversification.
While we're at it, okay, I understand the job, the onus is on the government to also want to do something to the mindset of the people, because also the people in seeing progress and how they have to progress, they also have to align. I see change is a very difficult thing for people on the African continent. Once it's coming, it's as though there are a lot of conspiracy theories built around it. Hey, they are taking our jobs. The students have come in. They are bringing students to take our jobs. And I'm just referring to the issue of Swami Magazine and all of these things, whether or not the people themselves are also, eager to...
Yeah, I mean, basically you are talking about mindset transformation.
Yeah, of course.
Mindset transformation, my brother, whether you like it or not, either you become transformed or transformation will over-transform you. Because if you study the reports coming from AI, a lot of jobs are phased out. A lot are itemized or listed to phase out. So if you think that maybe you think it's going to be a government policy, so you are not going to align yourself or you want to become, you are not susceptible to change, then you have a big problem because for now, you could, mathematics, they say when you are doing mathematics, they prefer the methodology than the final answer. We have AIs that are able to give a full methodology to the answer. So if you are not careful, the mathematics teacher's job
is being taken care of.
Aside. People travel sometimes to these Dubais and what have you. They go and then they are there and then a waiter is a robotics. So I'm saying that in terms of the transformation issue that we are talking about, it is not now the world that we are in is not you who is determining the pace.
Yeah.
The transformation is determining the pace. So we as a people, we also ought to open up to such transformation. We ought to open up. It is not about competition. In fact, if we look at the good offer we have under the AFCFTA, even the AFCFTA itself ought to be very competitive and transformative.
Right.
If you look at, it's sad, look, one professor from the US, we have a program together. He's in Cincinnati University. He was telling me one side thing. He said, look, there are many journals, many publications, it's flipped through in the US. They don't mention AFCFTA, Africa's own. You will see EU, you will see the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade, you will see ours.
It's not there.
You hardly will come across. They don't know it. They don't have any. That is not important to them, but they don't even have their concept idea of what it's about. What does it tell you? So you have to take it there. So if we have such a good offer, because you see, I was making an article, I said we have over-literalized the AFCFTA. It's about time we begin to hear machines whining.
Yeah.
Because other than that, that is when machines are whining.
Then people get to get
yes,
the noise.
as machines are whining, jobs have been created. You're able to export. If I'm able to export and a very good lower tariff, in other words, the cost on export, I can employ more people. And I'll call for more supply because the demand is high. If we're able to take our own continental opening where it captures every part of trade and investment and development, then we diversify it locally. Tomorrow I'll be doing a lecture with Tech, University of Science and Technology, called Domestication of After Protocols. In other words, after the protocols have been, we all know the protocol. How do we domesticate it? How do we align it to create jobs? How do we align it for the benefits? Is it just going to be a literature in the archives? Or how will Mr. Lumo know that, yes, this is protocol investment? How do I get? I made an advice to the ministry. I was giving a small advice to the GIPC. And I said, look, GIPC, if you continue to do the way you do your things, the same way, we will see much investment. Because I've dealt with them for some time. And they need to be transformative. They need to be transformative because, for example, an investor is a consumer. So if an investor doesn't see certain kind of trends in the economy, by the way, he will not be interested. And what they do is that when you take investors to GIPC, they have a fantastic presentation they will do. That is good. And that presentation, they profile. But I have suggested that profiling should take it to the next level. if you take Seychelles, I was with the investment board. What they've done is that they have profiled all their sectors. They don't need to wait for the investor to come. It's different from telling the investor your needs. And you are profiling your sectors. You take a full sector. They took a full sector. If it's tourism, they profile their sectors. The place that you can invest well, what is going to accrue, everything you need to know. And it's not kept at maybe a DIPC for you to know.
Where is it?
They have to, no, I'm saying that they found a way of getting outside there.
Oh, yeah, right. So before you come in, you even know where to put your money.
Exactly.
Right.
People, DIPC used to do some programs even in New York and all other places.
Yes.
I'm saying that this is some of the value chain that gig economy can work on.
Right.
When also, apart from diversifying, the next thing, which is a major thing under the gig we have to do, is also making sure that we diversify our institutions.
Okay.
Very, very important. So you are looking at the structure of your economy, you are looking at diversification, then you are also looking at diversification of your institutions. Like you mentioned, the education institutions. How are the institutions interrelated and aligning?